What if that daydream you just had wasn't just some random fantasy? What if it was actually a little peek into the creative power of the entire universe? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. The radical ideas of the 20th century mystic Neville Goddard. He claimed that your imagination isn't just a feature of your mind, it's God, and it's the very force that's building your world right now.
So let's just get right to the heart of it. Think about the facts of your life at this very moment. Your job, your bank account, your relationships. Are those things solid, unchangeable realities? Set in stone? Or could they be more like clay, just waiting to be reshaped by the power of your mind? That's the huge question we're tackling.
To really get this, we've got to go back to one of Goddard's biggest influences, the poet William Blake. Look at this quote. It's pretty much the core of this entire philosophy. Blake isn't saying your imagination is, a gift from God or that it's like God. No, he's making a much, much bolder claim that the creative force, that spark of imagination bubbling up inside you, is God.
Okay, that's a seriously mind-bending idea, right? But what does it actually mean for our daily lives? Let's unpack it. We're going to start with the first big concept, this idea that the world you see and touch, well, it isn't the real deal. The real world, the primary world, is the one happening inside your imagination.
Now, when Goddard talks about imagining, he doesn't just mean spacing out and daydreaming. He's talking about something way more powerful. Think of it like the source code of reality. It's the invisible blueprint from which everything you experience is actually built. It's the very substance of existence.
And here's where it gets really personal. The things happening in your life right now, they're not random. According to this philosophy, they are the direct harvest of what you've been consistently planting in your mind. Your deep-seated beliefs, the stories you tell yourself over and over, your reality is literally being sustained moment by your imagination.
This right here, this is a subtle but absolutely game-changing distinction. It's the difference between looking at a picture of a vacation and actually feeling the sun on your skin. Thinking of your desire keeps you separate from it. You're on the outside looking in. But thinking from your wish, that's when you step inside the frame and live it as if it's already a done deal. And that, according to Goddard, is the secret to creation.
All right, so the theory is fascinating, but how do we actually do this? How do we put it into practice? That brings us to the core technique in the book, a method Goddard simply called living in the end.
The book gives this perfect example of it in action. It's the story of a doctor and his wife who wanted to build their dream apartment building for 15 years. Think about that. 15 years. They had the desire, but they had no money. And for all that time, nothing changed. They were stuck thinking of it. Then they decided to try something totally different.
So what did they do? Well, they followed this very specific method. First, they got crystal clear on their goal. Then, and this is the key, they didn't visualize getting the money. Instead, they created a short mental movie of something that would happen after their goal was achieved. They'd relax, get into that drowsy state akin to sleep, and just play that scene on a loop in their minds until it felt completely real.
And this was their scene. I mean, notice how simple and rich with senses it is. It's not some complicated blueprint of the building. It's just a short, powerful moment that implies the wish is fulfilled. They could hear their friend's voice. They could feel that pride of ownership. They were living in the end result.
And the outcome of this nightly imaginal act? This is how much their new $30,000 building cost them out of pocket. Zero, not a penny. The story goes that a contractor just appeared, seemingly out of nowhere, handled all the plans, secured the financing, and even fronted the down payment, all to be repaid from future rent. It was a perfect, totally unexpected solution.
Okay, if creating the future with your imagination sounds powerful, what about changing the past? Yeah, you heard me right. That's where we're going next, with a technique Goddard called the art of revision. Just let that sink in for a second. We're taught that the past is done. It's over. It's set in stone. But this philosophy completely challenges that idea. It suggests the past isn't some fixed reality, but a story we carry around in our minds. And if you can rewrite the story, well, you can change its power over your present.
So how does revision work? It's kind of like being a film editor for your own memories. You take a scene from your past that you wish had gone differently, a conversation, a decision, an event, and you go back and you reshoot it in your mind. You just play it over and over, not as it was, but as you wish it had been.
The book gives this incredible, really striking example. It's the story of a woman who had lived with chronic, debilitating pain for 39 years. And it all stemmed from a single childhood accident where she fell from a swing. So every night before going to sleep,
she went back in time in her imagination. She returned to that moment on the swing, but this time she changed the script. Instead of falling and feeling that pain, she imagined herself leaping off the swing and landing perfectly, feeling the solid ground under her feet. She just looped this new memory, this revised past, until she drifted off to sleep, feeling whole and healed.
And the result? According to the story, within just 2 months, the pain that had been her constant companion for nearly 4 decades was completely gone. By changing the memory of the cause, she had erased the physical effect in the present. It was as if the fall had never even happened.
So, when you put all of this together, this idea of creating the future and revising the past, what's the big takeaway? It's a fundamental shift in how you see yourself. You stop being a character in your life story and realize you're the one holding the pen.
What this all boils down to is that your inner world is the rehearsal studio for your outer world. The conversations you have in your head, the scenes you imagine, the assumptions you hold dear. They are not just thoughts. They are the script that sooner or later is going to be performed on the stage of your life. What you imagine as fiction today becomes your reality tomorrow.
And so we're left with this final, powerful instruction from Goddard. Don't let your 5 senses have the last word. Don't let the facts of your current reality bully you into submission. The challenge is to decide what you want, assume the feeling of it already being true, and hold on to that inner reality until the world around you has no choice but to conform to it.
Which brings us to the final and really the most important question, one that only you can answer. If your life is a story that you are constantly writing with your imagination, what story are you telling yourself right now? And maybe more importantly, is it the story you actually want to be living?